George Herbert Walker Bush, better known as George H.W. Bush, was the 41st President of the United States. He was born on June 12, 1924, in Milton, Massachusetts, and enlisted in the U.S. Navy at 18 post-Pearl Harbor, serving as an aviator for 4 years.
He was honorably discharged when the war ended and enrolled at Yale University. After graduating college in 2.5 years in an accelerated program, he moved to Texas along with his new family of 8. He married Barbara Pierce only weeks after his return from the Pacific. Together they had 6 children, including George W. Bush, the future 43rd president.
Bush had a meager beginning in business, moving from Texas to California and back to Texas, finally starting in the oil industry. He quickly rose to the top, becoming a millionaire by age 40 and the president of the Zapata Offshore Company.
In 1967, Bush started his political career by being elected to the House of Representatives from the 7th District of Texas. Bush generally voted conservatively and was convinced by President Nixon to run for Senate. Bush lost the election to Senate to Lloyd Bentsen, a moderate Democrat. Then in 1971, he was appointed the 10th U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations by President Nixon.
In 1973, Nixon asked Bush to become the chairman of the National Republican Committee. This occurred during the Watergate scandal, and while Nixon fell in popularity, Bush sought to defend the Republican Party and requested that Nixon resign. In 1974, Bush then became appointed the chief of the U.S. Liaison Office for the People's Republic of China by President Gerald Ford. Bush spent 14 months in China, which was very beneficial for U.S. relations.
Bush then was appointed the director of the CIA by Gerald Ford in 1976. Bush is credited with restoring the integrity of the CIA after a series of scandals shook the public's opinion of it. In 1981, George Bush became the vice president under Ronald Reagan. Bush was a very low-key vice president and gained Reagan's favor through loyalty. During his vice presidency, he began planning his run for president. Bush decided to run for 1988, and his campaign focused on reducing the deficit while not raising taxes and on foreign policy.
Read my lips. No new taxes. I will keep America moving forward, always forward, for a better America, for an endless, enduring dream and 1,000 points of light. This is my mission, and I will complete it.
Choosing Dan Quayle of Indiana as his running mate, he won the election in 1989 against Michael Dukakis of Massachusetts.
He received 54.3% of the popular vote and defeated him 426 to 111 in the Electoral College.
For today is the concrete expression of a stunning fact. Our continuity, these 200 years since our government began. We meet on democracy's front porch, but this is a time when the future seems a door you can walk right through, into a room called tomorrow. Great nations of the world are moving toward democracy, through the door to freedom. Men and women of the world move toward free markets, through the door to prosperity. The people of the world agitate for free expression and free thought, through the door to the moral and intellectual satisfactions that only liberty allows. We know what works. Freedom works. We know what's right. Freedom is right.
He entered office at a turbulent time in the world. The collapse of the Soviet Union was imminent and the Berlin Wall had fallen.
Bush is known for his foreign policy. In 1989, he ended the totalitarian rule of Manuel Noriega in Panama. And in 1991, he helped facilitate a peaceful breakup of the Soviet Union. He also was the initiator of the Gulf invasion and led the effort to take back Kuwait from the hands of Saddam Hussein. He also helped create NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement, which would help encourage trade amongst the U.S., Canada, and Mexico.
A recession occurred during his presidency, forcing him to create new taxes, going back on what he promised during his campaign.
He also advocated for the 1,000 Points of Light, an initiative created by him that encouraged people to be active community members and promote volunteerism.
He would run for re-election unsuccessfully and would ultimately only serve one term as president.